A man poured boiling water into a sink and then placed modeling clay into the water. Once the clay had completely melted, he shaped it into a curve and placed it into a pre-prepared mold. Using all his strength, he pressed down, completing the creation of a fake gun. The man then knocked on a door and handed the gun to his waiting accomplice. The hijackers boldly stormed into the cabin, leaving all the passengers stunned. Two other accomplices also rushed out, and the three hijackers quickly took control of the passengers. They held a flight attendant hostage, demanding to know the identity of the air marshal on board. To avoid harm to the passengers, the air marshal had no choice but to surrender. Under threat from the hijackers, he was forced to hand over his weapon. At this moment, a passenger suddenly fought back, loudly calling for help from others. However, everyone was so shocked that no one dared to lend a hand. The man was brutally beaten by the hijackers, while the other passengers looked on without intervening. The hijackers then raised a banner and shouted the slogan of a terrorist organization. Meanwhile, the captain noticed the abnormality in the cabin and urgently adjusted the transponder to 7500. The air traffic controller quickly realized the situation on the plane. To better control everyone, the hijackers not only confiscated their phones, but also gathered all the passengers in the economy class. The hijackers then took the flight attendant hostage again, demanding the captain open the cockpit door, but he refused. Left with no choice, they could only make a phone call demanding the government release their leader. However, to everyone's surprise, they were not the only group of hijackers on the plane. The man's furtive glances seemed to suggest he already knew the flight attendant, and their target this time was $1.2 billion worth of diamonds hidden on the plane. The shipment was specially ordered from the Middle East. To ensure its safe return, they set up 3 layers of security measures for the diamond phone. First was a trustworthy courier. Second, they split the password into 2 parts, requiring both to be entered to open the safe. Finally, there was a global positioning system on the SIM card. If anyone touched the SIM card or the goods deviated, they would receive an alert immediately. Most importantly, they took out a huge insurance policy. However, they never imagined that there would be a traitor within their own ranks. The man secretly met with the buyer's secretary, planning to steal the diamonds. Since the phone had a global positioning system, the best place to strike was on the plane. So the man decided to join hands with his girlfriend. Although they didn't know the specific information about the courier, the company had instructed him not to eat or drink during the transport for safety reasons. This became their means of identifying the target. She used her identity as a flight attendant to inquire with each passenger. Finally, she found the target. While collecting meal trays, she accidentally stained the courier's clothes. To avoid drawing attention, the courier had no choice but to go to the restroom to clean up. However, just as they were about to succeed, unexpectedly, another group of hijackers appeared out of nowhere.